Welcome to the sun-bathed islands of the Adly Bay. At the middle of these warm waters sits the capital, Veli, the largest among all other cities in the bay and a true sight to behold. Rich in natural resources, bountiful fishing and favorable soil, the Adly Bay has boomed into a bustling paradise with boats coming and going with product in tow. Seaplanes and flying boats, an aeronautical invention only a few decades old and growing in popularity. Those brave enough to pilot a plane tend to do so for an occupational or economical advantage, while others, for crooked reasons. Brew pirates, backwater bootleggers. They taint these lands in choking smog, plunder ingredients and steal from the peaceful locals to forcefully sustain their brewing monopoly. The pirates operate in secrecy from the surrounding landmass of the Marieth and Delholdin nations. Their presence expands, forcing their brews as they rove freely and unchallenged. That was until two unlikely heroes stepped forward. Nigel, a flunky from the Marieth Flight Academy. Undeterred, Nigel refuses to give up on his dream of becoming a career pilot. With very little flight hours on his record, he's eager to find anyone that will fly with him. And Francie, the daughter of a successful merchant in the Marieth capital. When she learned of her father's shop being ransacked by the pirates for goods used in their brewing production, she vowed to help protect the bay and return what was stolen. In this time of turmoil, our unlikely heroes unite under one banner and one name. Henceforth, the Brew Barons came to be.
All right, we're here. The city of Veli. The last remaining location in the bay that still shines bright with opportunity.
Huh. Not a bad place to start a brewing enterprise. I hope the locals won't mind us setting up shop here.
Some may be wary, but I'm sure we can sway minds and gather support if we can produce quality brews people actually like.
All right then. Let's do this. I just wish we had enough money left over from the renovations to buy a better seaplane. The salesman may have swindled us with this junker.
How about that? She floats! As I knew it would. Now before you head off, just a reminder to keep your speed low when entering or exiting any harbors. Harbors often have plenty of boats and obstacles that can cause some real harm to you and your plane if you're not careful, so just keep your throttle low and you'll do fine.
I'm more concerned about the illuminated rust holes shining up through the floor.
Rust? Just think of it as weight reduction. Anyhow, remember what I said. Oh, and try not to fly too high. That engine has carburetor issues. Bye-bye now.
Oh boy. Well, let's see what this thing can do. I'll give you a quick refresher on the plane controls and instruments.
Great, let's start.
This is our fuel gauge. We have a full tank at the moment and shouldn't need to refuel for a while. Oh, and one role of the co-pilot is to give regular notifications on fuel levels. This meter represents the plane's cargo capacity. And currently, we aren't carrying anything. Take note that a heavily loaded plane will become a bit more sluggish in handling and speed. Highlighted here is our compass, attitude indicator, speed display, and altitude display. This is the engine throttle. Hold the throttle input to gradually raise or lower the plane speed. The throttle amount will remain fixed at that location when released. Just remember to lower your throttle when you want to slow down or stop. The red portion of the throttle bar represents sustained engine damage. Damage will limit engine performance. Below that is the plane health bar. From the looks of it, our plane currently sits around quarter health with reduced engine performance. Next to the throttle bar is the propeller pitch toggle. Simply put, you can invert your propeller angle and make the plane traverse either forwards or reverse. You would only want to use this if the plane gets snagged or stuck. And finally, steering the plane. On water, our direction is controlled by using the rudder. Taking off is controlled by the elevators, which are kinda broken right now. but I should note it can be helpful to pitch down while trolling on water for a little extra stability.
It's coming back to me now. I recall the ignition button has to be held for several seconds in order to fire the engine up.
That's right. Hold the ignition button to start up the plane. Apply some throttle and follow the ring markers. They will lead us to the brewery.
Am I seeing that wrong? Does that plane have no wings?
I don't think that plane's gonna make it wherever they're heading.
Look at that! Adwin actually sold that old wreck to some gullible pilots.
Huh. Are they really flying in that thing?
Arrived at the brewery. Welcome to our new base of operations.
We own all 3 floors? Huh, not bad.
Yup, it may look a little rundown right now, but it's just a matter of time before we turn this place into a grand establishment that strikes down the pirates' monopoly for good. The 2nd floor contains the actual brewery, while the 3rd floor sits mostly empty, waiting to be converted into a bar. And last, there's our plane hangar that resides at the bottom. See this golden square? This indicates a dockable location. This particular one will take us directly into our hangar. Always reduce your speed when maneuvering into a dockable location. Otherwise, you run the risk of overshooting and possibly crash.
Got it. Now that we're here, let's get this plane inside and fix it up.
Welcome to the hangar. Let's jump right into the basics. From here, you can craft new planes, load or modify an existing one, and purchase new blueprints from the parts catalog. A plane will always need a pilot and co-pilot, which you can assign in the roster tab. You can also assign idle pilots to a few other jobs, such as brewery assistant or bar manager. Before we go any further, let's get this plane fixed up. In order to modify the plane, we must first fix up the structural damage. You can do so by opening the repair tab located on the plane information panel. Once opened, move the slider all the way to the right to repair all damage and accept the purchase. Now that the structural damage is repaired, we can construct some new wings. Start by opening the Modify tab.
I noticed the wing construction required not only money, but also crafting materials. I'm sure we'll find more materials while venturing, so we should collect and bring them back. Anyways, I guess we're now ready to fly?
Yep. In fact, I have a small delivery errand destined to a local bar on the other side of town. We can fly over there in no time. We're going to exchange a few bottles of old cider I have for a valuable piece of plane equipment. Let's start by moving all the bottles of cider from the brewery inventory into the plane inventory.
The cider is now loaded in the plane's cargo space. It looks like we're all set.
Right. Let's head out. You can undock from the exit menu shown here.
Oil, flaps, rudder. All meters look good. Ready for the maiden flight?
You betcha. You can see we now have a delivery contract located in the upper right. The bar is located within eye range, just on the opposing side of the city. Take note of the gold docking square and small pier. Pilots should always plan their dock entry route and exit route ahead of time. You'll want to avoid approaching the pier head-on. You will almost certainly crash if you're traveling too quickly. Instead, approach a pier from a perpendicular angle. This presents the safest way to dock at a pier, and also makes for an easy exit. To help you approach at the correct angle, I've placed a series of rings. When you're ready, just follow them, and they will safely guide us to the delivery point. Use a little throttle and rudder to steer to the direction you want to take off, then speed up. Once you reach around 50 knots, pull back lightly on the pitch control to take off. Once you're in the air, you can use the rudder to make small turns, or the ailerons to bank and make larger turns. Take note of the ring color as you approach them. Their color will suggest the ideal throttle percent for the smoothest commute. Yellow is 100% throttle. Red is 30% throttle, and 0% just before the goal. I'll remind you of appropriate throttle power mid-flight. Let's start up the plane, throttle up, and get to it. That didn't take long at all. See this animated symbol? This means we're in a dockable location. When the dock input is pressed, it will bring up the docking menu.
You can press the dock button now.
The docking menu comes with several options such as resting or managing your delivery contracts. For now, let's take the first option and enter the establishment to conduct the delivery.
The floor is sticky. A bit of a dive, ain't it? What self-respecting person would drink in such a place? I'm sure the bar we build will be way better.
Shh! Keep your voice down. The bar owner is coming this way.
Hey, a couple of new faces. Take a seat wherever you wish.
Hi. We're not here to drink. I overheard that your establishment was low on stock and you're willing to exchange for some old plane equipment for more.
Ah, I see you caught my ad in the paper. Is that cider? Great, you have a deal. But be careful with that plane equipment. Hydro aviation can be pretty dangerous in the hands of a novice.
Wait, what? We're toying with hydropropulsion? You've got to be kidding me. I don't know if I can endure such force.
Oh, it's not just hydropropulsion, hydroprojectiles too. But relax. I'm sure we'll be fine in your capable hands. Besides, we'll need an advantage if we're going to stand up to those pirates.
I can see you two have some grand plans on the horizon. That and your unsightly plane parked outside. Come, I'll help you rig up the equipment. One more adjustment here. And done. You're now set up to boost through the sky with a torrent of high-pressure water blasting behind you. You're also able to shoot water projectiles in front of you. Oh, geez. I lost track of time and got to get back to my bar. One last thing. If you're going to craft more brews, I might be willing to buy some more from you. But first, I'll see how my patrons like that cider. Take care.
Well, that's fortunate. We have our first brew client. Hopefully next time we can deliver him something better than that basic cider.
Sounds good. There's ingredients scattered throughout the bay that we could collect and craft into all sorts of unique brews. Though first things first, we should cover the basics of plane abilities. Above the compass is the plane's ability bar. It displays the currently equipped ability and water meter. Plane abilities consume water from this meter when activated.
Let's start by testing out the water boosting ability. It's great for hopping island to island at rapid speeds or gaining high altitude quickly.
To use the ability, we must first refill the water tank. This will happen automatically when we are close to the water and traveling at around 40 knots or more. Once we have enough water, we can use the ability by pressing the primary ability input. Let's start by following the rings and getting into position. Once we're in position, I will give you the signal to hold down the boost ability and keep it held down. Okay, boost now. Hold down the boost ability and don't let go. Nigel, are you okay? You look a bit queasy.
Whoa, that was intense. I'm just a bit dizzy. I think flying at those speeds takes some getting used to.
Check it out. We have a view of the whole island from up here. There's small clusters of apple trees all around. We can try collecting those for our brews. Shoot the apple trees with your water projectiles to knock their fruit off and swoop in to collect them. If a tree runs out of apples, move on to another. A depleted tree will grow back after several days elapse. You can switch to the water gun by cycling the primary ability. Head back down to a lower altitude when you're ready and test out the water projectiles.
Sounds like a plan. Let's not forget to refill the water tank when necessary and stay within range of the island. Now let's collect 100 apples.
our engine is struggling up here. That salesman definitely sold us a lemon. Let's fly down to a lower altitude before it dies completely.
That's 100 apples loaded in the plane.
Next we can head back to the brewery to process the apples. I'll place a marker to remind us where the hangar is located.
Back home in one piece and a cargo hull full of apples. Let's head up to the second floor brewery. You can access it from the exit menu.
You managed to fit a fully functional brewery on a single floor?
Impressive, right? We can take those apples we just collected and turn them into brews in no time at all. The first thing we need to do is move the apples from the plain inventory into the brewery. You can open the inventory tab to make the transfer. Great. Now that the apples are available to be processed, I can quickly explain the brewery menus. Highlighted at the top are the brewery options. In addition to crafting new brews, you can also look up recipes, manage your back catalog, upgrade the brewery, and manage any delivery contracts. Let's start by opening the Create menu. The large metal pot is where we will blend all our ingredients. Highlighted is the brewery pot interface. It's used to measure percentage ratios of ingredients dispensed into the blending pot. It's important to know that only the top 3 ingredients in the pot of a sufficient quantity will count towards your brew outcome. So don't go throwing in a whole slew of different ingredients in. It won't do you much good. Beneath the ingredient percentages shows the value of your dispensed ingredients. And below that is the alcohol by volume percentage. As you dispense items into your pot, the maximum alcohol potential will increase. Maximum alcohol potential is something you'll want to take note of if you're crafting a brew for a client that has specified how much alcohol the drink should contain. Here's the reset button if you dispense the wrong ingredient or your pot contents don't reach a desired alcohol potential. Now the fun part. This is the ingredient wheel. It allows you to cycle through all of the ingredients that have been placed in the brewery inventory. Let's hold the dispense button to drop all 100 apples into the pot. The ingredients will blend once a total of 100 units are dispensed. Next, we'll add yeast to the mixture, which will convert into alcohol. The more yeast you add will result in a higher alcohol content, but will never exceed its maximum alcohol potential. You can add yeast by holding down and releasing the scoop button. The longer the hold, the more yeast will be added. The process of adding yeast will stop if you hit the end button, or if the alcohol content of your pot reaches its max potential. Next, we'll process the mixture. We can ferment, which will produce a higher yield of drinks with a low value and alcohol percentage. Or we can ferment and distill, which will produce lower yield with a higher value product and alcohol percentage. Take note that each method will produce a different type of brew. In this case, our apple mixture can either become a cider or a brandy depending on which method is taken. Let's choose fermenting and let the Brew-O-Matic work its magic. Presto! Our mixture has now been turned into a cider. This particular brew turned out a little basic, though no worries. Next time we can try crafting a brew with multiple ingredients to produce a better product. From here we can discard or bottle the brew. Let's select Bottle to continue. We can start to customize our product to our liking. We can change the bottle appearance and rename the product to anything we'd like. When you're happy with the design, you can press the Finish button. Our new cider brew will now appear under the My Products menu. This menu is used to produce more units of any branded brews you've already crafted. Should a client request a branded brew that's out of stock, you can open this menu to produce more if you have sufficient ingredients. There's one last step. Seeing as we have no client contracts requesting cider, we can stock the cider at our own bar, which we need to set up first. Let's head up to the top floor by accessing the exit menu. There used to be a bunch of old antiques collecting dust up here. It may not look like much and the floors creak terribly, but with enough effort we can turn this into a lively bar.
One that's stocked full with our own brewed products? That would be great.
We'll have to start with a basic tarnished floor plan for the time being. With enough funds, the bar can be renewed and polished. In doing so, it will gather our bar more fame. This is the fame meter. It will rise as we improve our bar and sell quality brews. With more fame comes more sales. It won't be easy, but our goal is to fill this meter and create a renowned top-tier bar that takes sales away from the pirates.
In that case, we should style the bar accordingly to the types of brew we plan to sell. A bar patron that prefers cider might enjoy a rustic bar theme, whereas a wine drinker might prefer something more elegant.
Sure. With all the chairs and antiques I found up here, it shouldn't take much for us to try out several bar themes. We can find a theme that best suits our brews. Let's start by choosing a theme for our bar. You can do so by opening the design panel. Next, let's think of a good name for the bar. Maybe a name that portrays an establishment of sophistication and class? I'll leave that up to you. The choice is yours. Type the name into the text box and press enter when you're done. That's an interesting choice. It's different. Fortunately, we can always change it later. From this menu, you can adjust the cosmetics of our bar and upgrade the theme. Upgrading will help us gain fame a bit faster. Now with the bar all set up, we'll want to stock our cider so it can be slowly sold over time. You can open the inventory and make the brew transfer. There, we're now open for business. Be sure to keep the bar stocked with brews that suit our chosen theme. In doing so, we'll help keep our patrons happy. We should also get in the habit of checking in on our bar every now and then. We can review our sales history and gossip with the locals that might provide useful feedback.
Right. It looks like we're all set and ready to finally start this. Let's get out there and explore. Make connections, collect ingredients, and grow our brewing enterprise.
Looks like we have our first customer already. I suppose the word gets around fast in these sleepy places. If you want to talk to them, do so by clicking the gossip menu and selecting them. Welcome. I'm Francie, one of the proprietors of this new establishment. You look a bit troubled, almost like you need a drink.
You can say that again. I'm Farmer Gus of the Island Farmers Association, though perhaps not for much longer. Those pirate ships and submarines won't let any of our cargo vessels through, so now our produce just goes unharvested in the fields.
I know your pain. So too has my father's business been disrupted. That's one reason why I'm here in the Bay, to see if I can help break up their monopoly that has affected so many of us.
Well, that's good to hear. Taking out their naval divisions would be a great start, but be careful. They look pretty dangerous. In the meantime, just help yourself to any of the crops in the fields around here. There are a couple of different types, so if you need to know any more about them, just ask. We're also short on farmhands. Most quit in fear. So I'll take any spare crops you have on hand and reward a few coin in return. Wheat grows in the fields around here. Pilots can perform an arrow harvesting maneuver with their propellers by flying through the fields, but just be careful not to hit the ground. There are different types of wheat to be found in the islands. As you travel further out, the wheat becomes tougher to cut, so you will need to upgrade your propeller. But for the islands around here, your current propeller will be fine. Gopher potatoes are cultivated in the nearby fields. They can be harvested from the air, but they are too deeply rooted for your water gun to be effective. I can give you my old water bombing equipment for your plane. With a carefully placed bomb, you should be able to dislodge the potatoes and collect them. There are other ingredients planted in the fields in the outer islands, but you will need to upgrade your bomb to dislodge them. Air ingredients can be found in the skies, but only over a few of the islands. They're constantly drifting with the winds, so you might need to circle the island as you search for them. Your plane is equipped with a filter that can harvest them. Some air ingredients on the outer islands are very fine in size and will require a filtration upgrade before they can be collected. Water plants can be found in the shallow waters around the islands. They're a bit easier to spot in the daylight and from a high aerial perspective looking downward. I've also heard there's a plane part you can buy to help locate them. Water plants can only be dislodged with an underwater disruption, like a water bomb. Once bombed, the ingredients will rise to the surface where you can collect them. It may be manageable with a light plane, however, heavy planes are a bit more suitable for this task.
Welcome to the grand opening of our bar. Can I offer you a drink?
I'm Inspector Ruslana, Chief of Police and Brewing Standards Inspector for the City of Valet. I was the one that approved your permit application. So, I'm just here to make sure everything is in order as you open for business.
Well then, consider it on the house for esteemed members of the law enforcement community.
I really shouldn't since I'm on duty, but I suppose just this once. Thank you. Let's see how this tastes. Bland and tasteless. I don't think you'll stay in business for long if you keep serving drinks like this.
I'm sorry to hear that. How can we make less boring drinks?
Your drinks will be more interesting if you add different ingredients, but be careful to get the proportions right, or it will just come out like sludge. That outfit is causing me problems. They pose as a legitimate brewing company, but they've been using strong-arm tactics and intimidation to coerce the local bars to stock their products, which are garbage, by the way. I've managed to keep things in check around here, but in the outer islands, I've heard they have an absolute monopoly. So be warned that if you compete with them, you need to be prepared for a fight. You could invest into bar and brewery upgrades for greater returns. Or you can invest into your plane to pull off more efficient deliveries, battle pirates, or complete quests, to name a few. It's really up to you how you'd like to grow your company. I still haven't gotten the awful taste of that last one out of my mouth yet, so no thank you.
Hello, Inspector. It's nice of you to come and visit us. Can I get you a drink?
Why, yes. I hope you have something a little better than last time. Thank you. Let's see how this tastes. Bland and tasteless. I don't think you'll stay in business for long if you keep serving drinks like this.
I'm sorry to hear that. How can we make less boring drinks?
Your drinks will be more interesting if you add different ingredients, but be careful to get the proportions right, or it will just come out like sludge.